Hello everyone, my name's Camilla Spitfire and I'm a variety streamer on Twitch. One of my favorite games to play is 7 Days to Die, and I love to make mods for the 7 Days to Die Twitch integration. Today I'm going to show you how to make a loot crate with whatever you want in it, specific loot crates, for you to do supply crates or to have drop when certain entities are unalived in the game. Let's dig in. The first thing you're going to want to do is to open up some files. So you're going to go to your Steam profile like this, and you're going to go to Manage and Browse Local Files. That's going to pull up here, and if you don't already have a mods folder, you're going to want to make one. You're then going to go to Data and Config, and then here's the list of all the XML files that you're going to want for reference. Now, these files are the ones you're going to be opening just to look at, copy some things, but you're not going to edit these directly. So I highly recommend opening up the Twitch file, the game events file, the entity classes file, and the loot file. Right click on that file when you have the ones you want, and you're going to do edit with Notepad++. You can do regular edit, but I really recommend Notepad++. It's free, it makes it a lot easier to see mistakes and edit things, and why not since it's free. If you've never used Notepad++ before, I will link it at the top, a video that I've shown how to download it and get it going. Once you have those files opened, you're also going to go to your mods folder. I have on my Ko-fi shop basically a base modlet that you can then go ahead and edit and get the files that you specifically need written for a mod. Inside this is a mod info file that we're going to right click and do edit with Notepad++, and then config, leave that alone. And inside these, you're going to open up all of these files as well. You should have an entity classes, a game events, a loot, and a Twitch XML. Right click, edit with Notepad++, and we should be ready to go. These are the actual files you're going to edit. And the reason we use a mod file like this is so that when you make changes to the mod, if there's an error or something, you're not ruining your main game files. And if there's ever an edit, an update to the main game files, then it won't affect your mod and the mod will still function. Once you have everything open, it should look something like this. Here I have all of the files that are the main game files for reference purposes, and then I have the mod info file, which is the thing we're going to edit first. Here you're going to put a name of whatever you want this to be. So if you're creating a dynamite crate, that you could call it supply dynamite. Whatever it is that you're trying to do. Supply examples for now. This one, you just have to remember, is all one word. If you want to have underscores to connect it, that's fine, but you do need to make sure it is all one word or it won't work. Here, you can have spaces and things. It doesn't really matter. We'll call it supply examples again. Spawns some supply crates. Sure, just a description of what it does. Your version can be whatever you want to call it. This is very internal. I typically keep it with whatever version of the game that it matches for myself. And if I do like an update or something, I can do like a B or something if I want to. Once you're done with that, save, and you're good to go on to the next file, which is going to be your loot file. So your loot file should open like this, and see how I have it written, add your modlet file stuff here. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to go into the loot XML of the main game files and go Control F. That'll bring up the find menu. You're going to type in loot container. It's going to pull up one of these, and you're going to copy it. And you're going to bring it over and paste it in here. Now, we're going to change this to item name because you're doing specific things rather than pulling from different group crates options. So if I'm doing something like dynamite, like I said before, I might call this Twitch dynamite. And in the loot, I'm going to come back and Control F again and type in dynamite. All right, just to find the item. And you're going to copy this. See how it says item name? Thrown dynamite and account. We want all of that. And we're going to actually replace this section here. or you could type it in. It doesn't matter. All right, so we've got, this is how many thrown dynamites will spawn for this loot container if it's triggered. 2 to 3, do you want 50? 5? 10? And this is a range, so the comma means a range. So you're gonna have 5 to 10 in this box, okay? If you want it to be an exact number, leave it the same, okay? And count 1. So that means if you have a list of items, say you had a different item here, it would pick one of those. You can also select all. You can also select 3. You can select 2. The thing about the count is when you change the count, it will select 2, but it can select 1 twice. So say this was actually ammo, arrow exploding, I think is what it's called, whatever. These are some of my options, right? If I have it say 2, it could pick dynamite twice or exploding arrows twice. And I get twice as many as it was going to pull. So just consider that. If you type all, it will give you both of these items. You could even put 3 and it'll pick dynamite maybe, arrows exploding maybe, and then 1 more. Or it could theoretically pick dynamite 3 times. It is very randomized when you do that. But those are the 3 options you have. If you have only one thing on it, putting 1 is perfectly fine. Save that. And then in your entity classes, that's our next thing that we're going to work on. We're going to go to our entity classes over here. And here's one. I'm already on here, but if you look up loot like this, it's going to bring up one of these. And this is a loot crate entity chest. So this is what creates the actual physical box that spawns. So the loot file tells you what's going to be in the box. The entity class is the box itself and what it's saying to pull from for loot. And then your game events is going to be the event that causes that box to spawn. And then the Twitch is going to be what you use to trigger the game event. So you need all 4 of those files for that reason, because each of them has a different job. So in here, you're just going to take one of these and copy and paste it, and you're going to call it your own thing. Maybe I'm going to call it Kaluna Dynamite. That seems pretty good. I don't know that I want this particular, I don't want the passing gas box. So I'm going to go back to entity classes and I'm going to look for one. I'm going to find it. I want the shotgun box. This one. So you're going to copy whatever box you want. Make sure you have the @ symbol and everything. Whatever's in between the quotes, you want all of that. And you're going to replace it for that box. Here we go. And then here, this last line, loot list on death. This is what you're going to go into your loot crate box, and whatever you called this, you're going to copy it and paste it here. There you go. And save. Now for game events. So when you're in the game events main file, definitely look up maybe something like crate name. Okay, that'll work. And this gets us the spawn candy kind of crate. We're just going to copy that as an example. And you're going to pop that in there. Now we're going to edit this particular crate. So we're going to call this spawn dynamite. And we're not going to touch the template. The crate name is then going to be whatever we called it in entity classes, which is this one. So copy that and paste that there. And save. Now we've got a game event. And then in Twitch, we're going to go. So in the main Twitch file, you're going to look for the supply. Not a vote supply. So I have to go back. Maybe supply candy would be fine. There we go. This is what we were looking for. So copy that and bring that over to the Twitch for your mod. And then you're going to call this whatever you want to do. I'm going to call it Twitch Dynamite. the command, whatever you want it to be called, supply dynamite. Keep it pretty simple. Command key. We don't need a command key. That's for changing to different languages. Title key, we don't need that, and we don't need a description key. Okay. What game stage do you want to start on? Maybe 5 for me. I like to use a lot of dynamite for fun things in my game. But whatever game stage you want it to be. And then what do you have this event name called here? So I have it spawn dynamite. So I'm going to copy that and paste that in. Do you want it for PP bits or SP? I want it for 100 PP perhaps. And then how long do you want the cooldown to be for? Maybe 30 seconds for me, since when we're usually doing this, we're trying to destroy an entire building and my chat loves to help. So that's what we're doing. And there you go. You can add other types of properties like they have at the top of the Twitch file. I think it's at the top. It might be at the bottom. Right here, special only, point type, streamer only, waiting blocked, whatever thing fits your stuff, that can then be added to your properties here if you want to, but this is the basic style of how it would be. And that is all you need to get it to function. So you're gonna go ahead and save there, and then you're ready to test it out in a world. When you spawn in, you're gonna press F1. It's gonna bring up this menu, DM, enter, and either escape or F1 again. Because it's not a spawn, you don't need to go into God mode by pressing Q, but you can. You're gonna do Shift F6, and that's gonna bring up your game events menu. And we're going to do dynamite, because that's what we called it. We're gonna test it here. Excellent, we're gonna open it up, and it spawns in the right amount of dynamite that we have selected. You can, of course, test it a few more times and make sure that each time it's somewhere between 5 and 10 and that it's only spawning in the dynamite the way that you want it to be, since that's how we specified it. And it's working perfectly. Now you can also hook into Twitch and make sure it's in that link, but I like to do that last, and we have a couple other spawns that I wanted to try out. So we're going to exit the game. So after you exit the game, we're going to open back up the files that we had. I'm going to go back to the loot file because we're going to try a new one. But now we've already have this, so we're actually going to just copy and paste it, and I'm actually going to call this one maybe Kaluna's favorites, because I did tell you guys that you can have multiple ones that you can pull from, and I just want to show you an example of how to go ahead and do that. So I've already pulled a list of some of my favorite items, but you would of course go to the loot file and pull whatever items you like, go ahead and search for them and pop them down here into this space. I particularly like dynamite, exploding arrows, and crossbolts, and 7.62 and shotgun shells as my ammo of choice. So I'm going to pull those, and here's a list of how many I want them to spawn. Now, it doesn't really matter to me right now because this is just an example, but maybe I want 5 to 10 of the dynamite and more of the exploding arrows and more of the bullets. Sure. And from here, here's where you can have it pick maybe 3 of them. So it's going to give me 3 of my favorite things. You can select all, and this is where you could test it out to be different. I'm going to say 3 random ones. That means it could double up. I could get 3 different dynamite sets. I could get 3 of these. I could get 2 dynamite and 1 arrow set, or a mixture of 3 different ones. But that's fine. I'm going to save that. Now I'm going to copy this because it's going to be very similar. I'm going to call it Kaluna Favorites. And then we're going to do the loot crate we want on that. Actually, this is such a long name. I actually just want to simplify it. So I'm going to simplify it and just call it Kaluna Favorites. You don't have to have it say Twitch or anything, so I'm not going to. I'm going to call it that. Let's see. It's currently a shotgun. Messiah box, and I think I want it to be that because it makes sense. Everything in there is ammo of some variety, so that's fine. If I wanted a different box, I would find a different mesh that would work. All right, that one's good. And then in here, we're gonna copy and create a new. So instead of this, it's gonna be perhaps spawn Kaluna favorites. All right, and the crate name is from the entity classes. It's called this, so I'm gonna copy and paste it right here and save and go to Twitch, and I'm gonna again create a new one. I wanna call this Kaluna favorites, perhaps. Makes sense. And then the event name is from the game events here. Copy that. And however much you want it to be, maybe it's game stage 10, sure, why not? And maybe I want this one to be a longer cooldown. It could be more expensive because we're getting more. So all of those kinds of things. It could be streamer only because it's my favorites. So you could do streamer only if you wanted to, but it doesn't really matter. Maybe there's other people in your party that want that too. And then this one's pretty much good to go. Save it and we can test this one out. Once you're in the game, again, press F1, type DM and enter, F1 again, and you're ready to do Shift F6 to open up your game events menu. This time I'm gonna find the one named Kaluna's Favorites. And here's the box. So as you can see, even though I have it written as 3, it pulled the exploding arrows once and the exploding crossbolts twice. So it did do 3, but that's how it pulls the 3. To show you some more examples, I'm gonna do it several more times so you can see how it might look. It pulled twice the shotgun shells and once the 7.62. Here it pulled 3 different items. Here it pulled twice the 7.62 and once the exploding arrows. 3 different items. And once the shotgun, or twice the shotgun and once the exploding crossbow bolts. So this is working as I have it set up. So that's how it should look when you go ahead and test crates, because you want to make sure it's giving you exactly what you've actually requested. So you can exit the game. And we're going to go back to our files because I have one more that I want to show you how to do. And this is the one where you create a loot container that drops after a certain spawn. So maybe you have a specific spawn that you want to have as soon as it happens, and you manage to successfully get all of that spawn to be unalived in the game. You now want a crate to drop specific to that because maybe it's very meme-like. And I'm going to give an example that is meme-like. Meme-like. Can I use words? I'm not sure. Anyway, we're going to create a new loot container. We're going to start there like we did for the others. And this one I'm going to call Twitch Honey. And we're going to go ahead and find honey. And we're going to copy it just like this and bring it back. And 1 or 2 is perfectly fine. I want 1 for this. Perfectly fine. So go ahead and press save. Now we're going to go into the entity classes, and we do still need to have a crate for this because the crate needs to be able to be triggered in the game event. So I'm going to call this Kaluna Honey, and we're going to pull the name of the crate, the loot that we wanted it to pull from, and put it there. Now, a mesh of having a shotgun Messiah box doesn't really make sense, so I'm going to find a food box or a medicine box. Either one of those will be fine. So let's look for mesh. Let's do loot container perhaps, and then it'll go through different loot containers. Working stiff, crack a book. Here's a Shamway one. That'll do. That'll do. Copy that. And put that there. Now we have it pulling from all the right things. We're going to save. Going over to the game events, this is where it's going to look different. This is where it's going to get much more complicated. What we are going to do is go into the game events, and I want to find an example of a spawn that does multiple actions. And one that I'm thinking of is any of the votes, right? Votes do this. So here's a vote horde standard. Okay, this is kind of what we want. Vote horde standard. Let's start with that. We're going to copy everything. It is long. It is long. And we want the whole thing because we're going to delete what we don't need. All right. So we just copied that entire thing. I think I got just one. It should start at the very top with action sequence instead of action class. And at the end with action sequence. This is an entire sequence of different actions that are all going to be triggered by one game event trigger. So I want to call this allow user trigger. I want that to be true. It's not a vote that I'm creating. You could create your own vote, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm going to be doing a Twitch action, so I'm going to call it that. I don't need refund inactivity. There we go. We're going to call this as well. Instead of a vote, I'm going to call it spawn a baby bear. All right. And in here, you do want to keep the add party to group. You are the party and your group that you're playing with is the party. You can leave that alone. Spawn the entity. What entity do you want to spawn? And in the game events, bear, bear, small, animal, bear, not game events. Look at entity classes. My bad. Animal, bear, small. I just know this exists. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to have like a little baby bear spawn that I'm going to create. You could create your own spawn, of course. I have another video showing how to do that. I'll link it up at the top. But this one already exists, and I'm just going to use it for an example for how to do this particular part. So here in the game events, I want to trigger a baby bear to be spawned. I only want one of them because that's enough. Party edition, no. We'll get to phases after. Spawn in the safe. I don't think we need that at all. We'll just get rid of it. Add to group. We're going to create our own group. We're going to call it bear. And add buffs. We don't want any buffs. But we do want the spawn type to be on position. So that's like on my position, right? Or whoever it's being spawned on. That's who it's positioning to be spawned on. Clear position on complete. True, that's perfectly fine. All right. We don't want any other entities, so we're going to delete that one. All right, and I want a sound. I want a bear alert. I know that sound exists. You could open up the sound XML and find a sound that fits for you. I've already shown how to do that particular part, and so we're going to wait for that. We don't need any of these buffs, so we're going to get rid of that. We don't need any of these buffs, so we're going to get rid of it. Now we have wait for dead. We want to leave that alone, but our group is going to be called bear. And then we do want a delay. And then we want this open supply crate sound. We don't need a vote success because it's not a vote. And then we want to have a spawn container. Now we're going to get rid of the rest of this because we don't need it. Okay. So this is where we're going to have the container that we created in entity classes. And we're going to copy it. And we're going to add it in here. It's going to spawn after we kill the bear. So that's where it says wait for dead. After we kill the bear, then it's going to spawn a crate of honey. Very thematic, right? And target group we do want it to stay party and position. All right, I'm going to quickly save, but then we're going to go all the way back up to the top of this because I need to show you what phases are. After you've decided all the pieces that you want to keep, phase 0 is adding the party to group, and phase 0 is spawning the entity. That all occurs at the same time. Phase 1 would be next. It's going to play the sound. After that would be phase 2. It's going to wait for it to be dead. Phase 3 would be the delay. I'm actually going to delay the time. This is number of seconds. I'll wait 3 seconds instead. Next phase is play the sound of the crate opening, which is going to be phase 4. And then phase 5 is going to be the crate existing and coming into play and being opened. Phase on complete, when you have completed the entire opening of it, it is phase 6. And that is the entirety of that. Now when we go into Twitch, we're going to create a new one of these, and we're going to call it maybe Baby Bear, perhaps. Okay, and we actually want this to be a spawn, so we're not going to have this. I just also realized we don't want this to extend these. Get rid of these extends. You don't need them for specific ones. Make sure you get rid of those. Those would just change other things, and so you don't need that information. I just totally forgot to tell you that before, so I'm telling you now. There you go. All right, and the command I want this to be is to spawn bear, baby bear, something like that. I'm gonna get rid of these because I realize these don't need that there. We just need regular carrots, like so. That should be able to be saved now. Okay, and I do realize here that we also want to include the type of command and what category it should go into, specifically since these are not spawns, they're supplies. So there's different categories you can pick from. Supplies and spawns are your most commonly used one, but the baby bear is going to be in spawns. So this is why it makes a difference. But we're going to pull that. So we want the dynamite to be in supplies, and we want the Kaluna favorites. This is the wrong command. There we go. Kaluna favorites to be in supplies, and we want this one to be the baby bear. So we're going to be calling this command maybe spawn baby bear. It's in spawns, game stage maybe 50 because it's a smaller bear. The event name, let's pull. Nope, not that event name. Is this one. Top of the very large event we made. And how much it's going to cost? Maybe 300, I don't know. We'll give ourselves a minute of cooldown, 60 seconds. And we'll save that, and let's go test it out. Once you're in the game, again, you press F1, DM and enter, and get rid of that by either pressing escape or F1. Now this is a spawn, so I am going to go into God mode by pressing Q. I'm going to go Shift F6 to open up the game events menu and baby bear. It makes the sound, it spawns a bear. So that's what we want to do. You can, of course, use some item in the game to do it, but you can also F1 and type kill all, enter, and that will also do the trick. And it should also spawn a crate, which it did. Let's check to see if it's the right crate, which it is, and it has the honey inside. So that is working as intended there. So now we're going to open up the options and hook into Twitch. It's going to open up on another screen for me because I have multiple screens, and go ahead and activate all of those things. If you don't have the extension hooked in, it's going to ask you to hook into the extension because you need to do that before you can do anything else. I highly recommend for testing purposes, use progression being off, but perhaps being on when you're playing the actual game. As soon as you're all hooked in, you're going to go to this point. We're going to check here for the Twitch events that you've created. We've got supply dynamite, supply Kaluna favorites, and spawn a baby bear. I'm going to type into my chat box, set cooldown, hashtag set cooldown space 0. I'm just going to turn this off, and I can see that they are there. I'm going to actually type in spawn baby bear to try it out. and make sure it behaves like I expect it to do. Now we're in God mode, so the baby bear can't get us. So we're just going to try to do it naturally, although this bone knife may not be an ideal choice. All right, we did it. Wait a few seconds. Should spawn us a crate, which it does. And there's the honey. Perfect. That's exactly what we want it to do. We're going to test out some of these other supplies. Supply Kaluna Favorites and Supply Dynamite. These are in red. I need to fix that. There you go. And there are our items. We're going to hop on out because some of those things are being written in red and I want them to be in blue as a good action. So we're going to go into the Twitch file and see what we did wrong. And there are many times that this is like little tiny details, like technically it's all working, but you want it to appear slightly different. So we're going to go back in. So this would be an error in the Twitch and I have it set as supplies. But what we're probably missing is an indicator somewhere that it's a good thing. And so we want the property that's called is positive. I've already got it copied somewhere else, so I'm just going to do it. Is positive being true. Is positive true. And baby bear is not positive, so we'll just make sure it's not positive by typing false. I'm going to select save, and we're going to try it one more time to make sure it's looking the way it should. Once you got everything set up to go, you're in God mode and you've hooked into the Twitch, you're going to go back to the cogwheel here. It's now appearing in blue, Supply Dynamite and Kaluna's Favorites, and Baby Bear is in red, which is how we want it. You can, of course, check that it's all working as intended in the main menu as well. Spawn Baby Bear being there, and in supplies, which is where we told it to be, should be Kaluna's Favorites and Dynamite, as we requested. So now everything's working as intended. We've tested it all out. It is ready to be put onto a server. So you can take that same file out of your mod folder and put it into a server if you'd like, or you can start a game from your local games and it will work right from there. I hope you guys found this helpful, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with for loot crates or different spawns that maybe are a little bit meme-like, and see what drops you can make happen. Have fun making loot crates, and see you guys in the next one.